Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast.
Lunch with Norm, lunch with Norm, lunch with Norm.
Yep, Brian Johnson and I have been waiting here 24 hours, just waiting to go live, because of that Facebook thing that happened yesterday. Conspiracy theory. I better not say that because we are streaming live on Facebook. Anyways, today we got a great show. We're talking about how to prepare for Q4. And it's a special episode today because we've got a group of panelists, which we don't normally do. These are the experts that are going to be at the Q4 Marketing Mastery event in Austin, Texas during October 15th. So please welcome our guest, Amy Weiss, Chelsea Cohen, Liza Monet Morales, Brian Johnson, and Tim Jordan. They'll be joining us shortly. But before we do that, we got a new sponsor. And I got to give a big thank you and a shout out to Sellerize. So Sellerize is a comprehensive solution for your everyday business needs. It's everything you need to grow and scale your Amazon business, and that's all in one click. For more information, just visit sellerize.com. That's SELLER, only one R, ISE.com. Kelsey, where are you, sir?
Hello, welcome everyone. We definitely missed everyone on Monday, and we're glad to be back up and running. And yeah, we're super excited for this episode. It's going to be fun for this little bonus that we got for you guys. So yeah, it's going to be a little different. We have a panel today, but yeah, I won't make this too long and just jump into the meat and potatoes. So of course, if you're watching right now, please smash those like buttons, get those thumbs up going, share this out to any groups or people that you know are interested in selling on Amazon or e-commerce. We do have a great prize today and a discount code, so stick around for that. And definitely, if you've missed any of the episodes, if you're looking for highlights, you can go over to our YouTube channel, Norman Farrar, and you'll be able to find all 203 episodes there. And I also just wanted to give a quick Patreon shout out to Peter Tochik and Michael Eastman for joining and donating the cup of coffee for us. We really appreciate it, and thank you for the support. And without further ado, we can get started.
Now, can I do this? I love doing this.
Of course.
Go. Get. All right. So now I got them off the screen. There we go. Things are back to normal. If you have any questions, throw them in the comment side. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee. I can't believe we're back live. Enjoy this episode. Welcome, everybody.
I love that off-screen push that you did. You try like an elbow next time.
Yeah, elbow body slam,
I want to see you twerk him off the screen. Turn around and twerk it up.
No.
I love it. Oh, snap. That would be fun.
That'll be us during our Legion Live today, Tim.
That's right.
Okay, so why don't we start with this? Starting with Brian. Why don't we do a quick introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, a short version. So my career on Amazon and e-commerce, about 14 years, Amazon for the last 7. And during that time, I have been fortunate to have helped over 20,000 brands sell over $1 billion on Amazon. So I think I've put in my time.
Wow. And you lost your hair.
Yes. Well, I had kids. So yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Amy, how about you? Miss Amy Weiss.
Well, I can't hold a candle to the B in front of Brian's billion. But I'm Amy Weiss, founder of Amazing and Home E-commerce Consulting. And, we've helped thousands of brands launch private label products. And we're excited to be co-hosting our first Texas event, the Seller Meetup, helping everybody prepare for marketing mastery in Q4 and beyond. So happy to be here.
Great. Where did you sneak in here? You weren't there pre. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know, and I'm so excited we all get to hang out exactly at the event that Amy was talking about that she and Chelsea are just putting on. I cannot wait. If you're in Austin or can get there and you really want to max out your Q4, you will definitely be joining us at home as well. Get your tickets, and yeah, you'll see all of us there. So Norm, just be ready because I'm going to come in and squeeze you really hard.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Because, when I get there and Tim does that, I kind of get embarrassed. But Mr. Jordan, how are you, sir? And by the way, we lock beards, so it's like Velcro.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I say. We learned that when we hug each other, we have to go like front to back because front to front we get stuck together like Velcro.
Yeah. And either way, it's awkward.
We take turn who's in back. Yeah.
Oh God.
Who's the big spoon today, Norm?
Oh,
anyways, so my name's Tim Jordan. I think most of you have seen me around. I don't do a whole lot in the e-commerce space or really do anything cool. I'm here to have fun and party. So, and to talk to Chelsea. That's basically it.
There we go.
Yes.
Hey, Chelsea, how are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah. So I'm Chelsea. I've been selling on Amazon since 2014, but in 2019 launched a tool called SoStock. So you'll see me talking a lot about inventory management, logistics. I like to help people to make sure that they don't stock out, and it's kind of my obsession. So that's what I'll be talking about in Texas when we have everyone come out and join us. And that's what I'm here for.
Perfect.
I guess I should give my intro though too.
So yes.
So kind of like Tim, I'm here to hang out. But I'm an actor. I'm a television host and a content creator in both English and Spanish. And I've been in the e-commerce space like very dedicated the last 5 years and really have been a pioneer in this Amazon influencer space more than anything, and how one can use the power of influence, whether you're working with nano influencers, major influencers, or you yourself can use your brand or yourself to tell your story to become an influencer, how you can leverage that, especially during an important time during Q4. So excited to not only speak about that in Texas, how to set yourself up, and even make sure that you're working with people that don't necessarily even speak English, but other languages as well. But in addition to that, excited to answer any questions today. So let's get this party started.
Perfect. Hey, I know I'm.
There was a noise.
No, yeah, there is a noise in the background, but there was somebody else during the pre-call, right? Who are we missing? There was one other person, wasn't there?
Chelsea? Kelsey?
No. Oh, maybe
Kelsey.
it's just me. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, we can get started now. So let's talk about Q4. So Q4, and we could start maybe, Brian, why don't we start with you? What are some things that are happening in Q4 that people can look at or should look at?
Well, I mean, I think just kind of like setting some background on this is that, Amazon, a lot of sellers, I guess, have kind of panicked over the summer, actually since March, when the COVID restrictions kind of went away in a lot of U.S. cities. A lot of shoppers said, okay, I'm getting off my computer. I'm actually going to go out and physically shop. And so the traffic dropped considerably on Amazon. Some claim up to 30%. And I would probably agree with that based off what we've seen as far as the number of customers shopping. And that carried through the summer, other than the Prime Day bump for Amazon. But we do expect that seasonally, Amazon is going to significantly ramp up their advertising to bring their Prime shoppers back onto the platform starting this month, probably in the next couple of weeks, in fact. So we should start seeing the traffic come back up for Q4. So that's the kind of the silver lining as far as the tragedy has been as far as traffic this year. Definitely some of the discussion we'll have later on is going to be talking about like, you can't be just one-legged on Amazon, but
Right.
That is certainly something we can jump into. But I would say for Q4, you can back off on some of your advertising, really focus your advertising if that's what you're doing, and really focus in on your target audience. That's the important thing. Is don't just run ads to run ads because somebody told you to. Do it because it makes sense for your target audience and that you're actually bringing them in. So make sure, probably the biggest mistake is not to focus on your target audience this couple of months.
Great. Now I'm going to go over to Amy, but while we're with Amy, so I don't forget, can you tell us about your giveaway that you guys are giving away?
Yeah, so we're going to give away a ticket to our event today. So that is going to be a full price ticket, including our networking luncheon. So some of you guys know Paul Barron, who is going to co-host our networking luncheon along with Michelle Clark. And so besides you getting to hear from all these amazing speakers and the different panels that we have on everything from external traffic to additional sales channels you should be thinking about selling on, to how to actually market your products and set your pricing and change your listings and set up your PPC. We're going to be talking about all that, plus restock limits, inventory management, shipping and inventory, the whole package for Q4. We're going to be talking about these very specific things. So you're going to get all of that, but we're also giving away our networking luncheon. So Michelle Clark and Paul Barron are going to be co-hosting this special networking luncheon at the Line Hotel. It's an iconic hotel in Austin. And they are going to design this lunch that's especially designed to help people connect even more. But the best thing about these events is not only the content and the things that you learn, but also the networking. So, that's what we're going to be doing, is giving away a ticket to the event today, plus including that networking luncheon.
So I got a question about that. Are you going to be doing any digital or recording, or can people join the event digitally?
So that's really interesting. No, we are not going to be offering recordings. You have to be at this event. You have to be there. We wanted to create something that is designed for speaker panels, not just speakers speaking at you each for 45 minutes. We have speaker panels for each one. So you can go to sellermeetup.com and check out all of our different speaker panels. And we have Q&A sessions every hour, so that we really encourage people to network. So we want people to come in person and network and get to know each other. So no recordings this time. You got to be in Austin.
Okay. And there is also a bonus of, I think it's a 10% off. If you don't win the ticket today, you can go get a ticket for, I think, 10% off, and we'll be providing that. If Kelsey's doing his job right, we'll be providing that. All right, over to you, Amy. Let's talk about Q Prep. What can you give? What kind of insight? What should we be doing differently?
Well, I think you have to think about your customer. You should always be customer centric, but you need to think about your customer during Q4. And that's why we really wanted to have a meetup, a seller meetup, where we're focused on specifics. Because there's a lot of broad strategies that are given at all of these Q4 virtual conferences, stuff like that. And I've spoken at a lot of those. But I wanted to get into specifics because there's some mistakes that people make during Q4 in kind of ignoring the way that their customer navigates the shopping sites, the way that their customer looks for deals. So the way that you need to get in front of your customer during Q4 is different than every other time of the year. And there's so much increased traffic. A lot of times people will just do like a lightning deal or a prime exclusive deal, and then they'll run a lot more ads for the same keywords. And they aren't really taking advantage of studying their customer and where their customer is at during that buying cycle during Q4. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how do you actually, first of all, study where your customer hangs out and how they shop during Q4. But secondly, what keywords are associated with that? What ads platforms? Are there any other creative promotional strategies that you could do? Could you work with influencers? Are there different things that you can do to draw attention to your, not only your deals, but even if you're not running a deal? Maybe you have a product that works really, really well seasonally, or it doesn't, but the way that your customer is searching during Q4, you can get in front of them, in front of different points in their shopping journey. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how to study that, how to know that for your product, because for every single product, it's different. And then how do you actually implement that? You've got to change out those keywords. You've got to change out your targeting strategies. You might want to use some organic promotional strategies, right? Such as sharing a code on Facebook, doing an Amazon Live, creating Amazon posts, spreading the word on Pinterest. There's so many different things that we can do. And not only that, but selling on other channels. There's other channels where customers are shopping, and that's going to bring even more traffic to not only your store on Amazon, but also off of Amazon on some other really, really great channels that you can sell on.
If I could jump in and add to that, Norm, is that okay?
Jump.
Okay, thank you. I'm jumping. Yay. So to add to that, I think one of the things that you want to make sure when you're updating your listings and your keywords that a lot of people overlook is updating your pictures and your videos to be themed if it is for the holidays, so that when people are searching it, they can see you or the little kid, right? Like unboxing a toy, playing with the toy, maybe in their holiday pajamas, basically creating that visual of like, oh, this is perfect for the holiday. It's exactly what I was thinking about. And then to Amy's point, when you're taking it offline, if you're working with influencers, and again, it doesn't have to be a mega influencer. It could be someone that's micro, leveraging the power of TikTok, leveraging the power right now of Reels and Instagram, because Facebook is putting a lot of money to make sure that people are using their version of TikTok because they're trying to sync them the way that they tried going after Snapchat. That is your benefit. Anytime we know that Facebook is putting a lot of money into something, it means that they will reward users that are using that feature. So if you use that feature to create like, hey, I'm doing an unboxing, right, of like this new makeup bag. Let me show you how I'm using it. Some of the goods that I'm creating to put inside to give to my friends. Here's some other products. Your product could be one of the 5 that are featured. And then you could say the link is in the bio. You would be surprised the amount of traffic that TikTok and Instagram is actually driving to Instagram and TikTok are driving to Amazon, and the sales that they're creating. And it just takes a couple of simple little things, which I know we'll get to more into Texas, but I just wanted to share that so that people can start thinking of ideating for updating their listings to make sure that they're holiday themed, not just in the photos, but using something like videos, because shoppers, especially virtually, want to see things in movement, especially if it's a cloth or a toy or something, to see how it can be used. All right, back over to you, Norm.
Perfect. All right. And, you know, just on that pajama thing, I've shared a room with Tim, and his one-piece Winnie the Pooh pajamas are incredible. But anyways, Tim, let's I'm visualizing.
Create some Facebook lives or some Instagram reels in those Winnie the Pooh pajamas. That's going to sell products during Q4.
I don't know.
We go.
A onesie pajama party.
The problem with my Winnie the Pooh pajamas is Norm got me upset that was 2 sizes too small on purpose. So I don't think it's Facebook appropriate. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
they're
they're set up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Jordan, what's your take on this? What's one thing that we should be looking at?
Well, I absolutely agree with what everybody else has said. I could, ditto that and just replicate that. It's all great information. I want to offer something that's a little bit maybe more long-term advice for this Q4. Going into Q4, it's something I'm thinking about with my brands and something I'm kind of preparing myself mentally for. And that's to see what's going on in the industry, right? So like Brian said, we know that sales dropped this year. We know that sales are down. If we look at like even the big aggregators that are sharing the data, like stuff crazy is happening. And that's for a lot of reasons. It's for logistics. It's for, people going back to retail stores. It's people can't get inventory in, so sales are dropping. But Wall Street is predicting this to be the biggest Q4 that's ever happened. And it's a rebound effect from the inability to have in-person, holiday gatherings last year. So we think that there's going to be massive change. And we know that Amazon right now is poised to be in a position to actually take on some competition. Amazon's been running the game for a while, but when you look at other marketplaces like Walmart that are starting to come up, I think that you're going to see some trick plays come from these other marketplaces and other digital platforms. And I think that if we're so focused on Amazon this Q4 and so in the nitty gritty looking at like, those important things like, how do I optimize better? How do I convert better? How do I, enhance my traffic? I think that if we look too deep into that and we don't take a step back occasionally to see what these other marketplaces or channels or what the industry is doing, we're going to miss some big opportunities because I think this is going to be a pivotal time for e-commerce. Now, I think it's going to be good. And the other thing that I think we need to be doing more action oriented specifically is finding a reliable replacement for FBA. Now, I don't mean that long term, but I mean that in the interim.
You just stole that tip from Chelsea.
I'm sorry, Chelsea. But right now, I see pure panic going on because people are looking for 3PLs and people are looking for prep centers and they're full, right? It's really hard to find them. And, these inventory restrictions that Amazon has, folks, they ain't going to get any better. They're going to get worse, right? I'm at a mastermind in Vegas right now. where people pay $12,000 a ticket to be at. And you know, the hottest topic with these like 8-9-figure sellers is how do I get more inventory in? Where's hacks? Someone yesterday was showing JavaScript code that you somehow like insert in the back end of something that's way over my head just to get inventory limits increased. Guys, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So definitely make sure that you're looking for some alternative ways to get your products to customers. And the great news is other people aren't doing this. These other, a lot of they're Amazon sellers they're asleep behind the wheel. They're not paying attention. And you know what? When their listings drop out, even if I've got a really expensive merchant fulfilled listing, as long as I show up, people are going to buy my crap. So make sure you've got some alternatives in shipping. Sorry, Chelsea.
Yes.
So over to you, Chelsea. I know he stole your thunder, but
I think that's the beauty of us getting together, though, for this whole day, where we're really, we're in a room together and we're focused on these things. I think, a lot of people probably are thinking, well, Q4, we're already into Q4. This conference is a little bit late for that. But quite the opposite. We're not just focused on Q4. We're focused on the future. Where are we at right now, and where do we need to be? Because not only that, as Tim mentioned, people are going to run out of stock. Like it's getting crazy with all of it's been crazy with all of the shipping stuff, all the shipping restrictions, but people are going to run out of stock. You're going to need strategies to source elsewhere, to sell in other channels, to replace your 3PLs. Like, that's the great thing about getting together, taking a break from our day-to-day, the day-to-day grind, and going, how are we going to figure this out? And what is going to happen going into the future? I love that. I think everyone is going to grow from that.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead. Your hand is up.
Hey, if everybody runs out of stock, does that mean they're not going to be quite so stocked as they want to be?
Ooh.
Was that like a stock?
I thought it was good.
So I got to tell you, this is how bad my eyes are. I'm not kidding. I'm listening to a lady's voice. I'm thinking that's you, Chelsea. And then I realized it was Amy. So
I thought you were going to say it was me.
Well, yeah. Well, so Chelsea, over to you. What do you have to say about this?
So it was a great tee off. I've been telling people since over a year, basically, that you need to get an FBA strategy. You need to be able to fulfill your own stuff. Even if your only sales channel is Amazon, your only distribution channel should not be Amazon. You need to have your own distribution channel. And my new golden rule that I'm trying to nail in to people is don't let anyone have all your stuff. That gets extremely dangerous. So whether it's all your stuff is on one boat and it's sitting, for 3 weeks waiting to be checked in, whether it's you put all your stuff LTL and you have nothing back up in case Amazon they're dumping trailers in their parking lots and they're not unloading them. So if you're wondering why your stuff is not getting checked in, it's because Amazon, Amazon Freight, which was a great system before, is now just in complete chaos. It's just stuff being dumped. You need to understand how the logistics channels work getting to your destination country, and you need to understand how the distribution channels work getting into Amazon. We're going to be talking a lot about trucking when we get to Texas. We're going to be talking a lot about what are those trucking systems. There's specific types of contracts that can either mean that your inventory is sitting in a parking lot outside of Amazon fulfillment centers, or it's actually getting checked in the moment it pulls up. And you need to know which companies are actually doing that. You need to know that that's even an option. So these are all things that we're pretty obsessed with right now. And then beyond that, the power outages that are, or the power curbing that's occurring in China needs to be part of the Q4 conversation about when are you placing your orders and how are you going to make sure that your inventory gets produced in time to ship out for Chinese New Year. Those are some of the biggest conversations that need to be had around the inventory and the logistics side of an Amazon business right now.
So Chelsea, do you see any specific ports? Like, we know ports that are taking forever, but are there any ports that you're looking at that are allowing for 3-day or a week turnaround rather than weeks or months turnaround?
I mean, not right now. We're still collecting information on that side of things. We obviously have seen that prices are going down with ocean freight. which is good. But a lot of people, their stuff should be on the ocean already, and so they're kind of locked into whatever pricing they had set. But more specifically, there are big shifts that can be made in terms of, getting your stuff checked into Amazon facilities based on how you truck them in. And that's a lot of, by the time we get to Texas, what about a week or two from now, a lot of people should already have their stuff at least on the country of origin or the country of destination. But how do you make those transfers actually happen? And the ways that you get your inventory into Amazon, whether it be, LTL, having backup small parcel delivery, or which company you're actually using can make the difference between you stocking out and you actually staying in stock.
Great.
And have you guys seen? Have you seen that SPD has gone up? The prices have gone up just recently. A lot of people have been posting about that the prices for not only SPD but UPS just supposedly like doubled or tripled their prices for small parcel delivery. And then your LTL shipments, right? Those are actually the last to get checked in during Q4. So you need to make plans for how you're sending your inventory to Amazon, which is why you have to have some control over your inventory. If you stick it all in one 3PL that's completely backed up, and that's what happened to Deliver last year, right? Deliver, when they were growing, they took on too many people. And when COVID hit, it was just like they couldn't fulfill. So everyone who had their stock in Deliver was stuck. And everyone who had all their stock in Amazon was also stuck. So the way that we get around that is we have our own warehouse. But this is where we're going, guys. Like these are the things that we need to consider. We need to have an omni-channel strategy in terms of both selling online, managing our inventory for selling online, our logistics partners, and we need to know what is reliable and what isn't. Because it's really, and then the other thing with, as Chelsea mentioned, the power outages that are happening in China, it's increasing the prices of some of our key raw materials. And those price increases are going to cause us to have to either go up in price or, increase our prices or lose money. So I know a lot of sellers, they're afraid to increase their prices, but these are things that we have to consider. These are things that we have to talk about and we should be talking about, and not just for Q4, but what do we do for next year? That is really, this Q4 is going to be different than anything else because people are going to be left in different positions. So when it comes to, I saw some people comment about their PPC costs stealing all their money, right? But there's so many other considerations besides correctly targeting your PPC and making sure your organic advertising efforts are good, but also thinking about where do my prices need to be? Are my competitors going to run out of stock? And that's going to put me in a better position, right? To really crush it. We need to be thinking about all of these facets in the wheel, right? And not just the one thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nowadays, he who's most flexible actually wins nowadays.
Right. And I think we'll touch on some of those ways to bring down the cost. We talked about it on the last podcast. There are a variety of different ways, and we'll touch on that again. But I wanted to direct that comment over to Brian because, we've talked about this a lot. Many sellers just don't have a proper PPC strategy. They're set up for failure rather than success. And maybe you can give you know what I'm going to get to. Maybe you could give a strategy or something to help protect their cash. Because what good is PPC if you're spending it all and you come up with like negative numbers, right? And getting to know, and that comes back, I'm going to hook back. You got to know your numbers. And if you're just blowing, everything on PPC, what good is it?
Yeah, there's a simple and there's a complex answer. So the simple answer would be focus, is what I was suggesting earlier. And that is really identifying as far as like what your highest converting assets are, as far as your own products, what your highest converting, those products you've got, those ad types you've got, those targets you've got, whether that's an ASIN or a category or a keyword or an automatic campaign that has an above average conversion rate, and keep those ads running on the above average conversion rate. That's generally going to translate to higher profitability, lower ACoS. that does drop down overall sales, but don't go after sales just from a vanity metric standpoint. Do it from a profitability standpoint. Otherwise, you're going to get eaten alive when the traffic picks up in Q4. Now, the more complex side of this is something that Amy and I discuss with the community on a regular basis, and that is it no longer just relies on. Oops, sorry about that.
That's your DLS, I think.
It is, yeah, and it just happened to choose now to.
Of course.
There we go. All right, let's switch over here. So, so what we recommend now, of course, is you've got to focus in on doing other, what are the other levers you've got to pull? And those are things like increasing your conversion rate on your product listing, listing optimization, standing out from competition. Every single day I can go into any niche, whatever it is on Amazon, and I can quickly identify how I would take over this product niche simply because of the lack of effort that's being done on page 1, page 2 by competition using tactics from 5 years ago that they just never changed, and they haven't adapted to really speaking to the target audience and really hooking that target audience. One of the things I teach is the 5-second hook, as far as, grabbing their attention, standing out from the competition, and ultimately talking about the benefits. And I know, Amy, you talk about this all the time too, that is going to make a bigger difference because it's going to increase your engagement, your sessions to your listing, and your conversion rate on your product. That by far is going to maximize any kind of profitability that you have on advertising. In fact, the way I look at it is if I can increase my conversion rate on my product by 5-10% even, then that means I can get more aggressive in my advertising against my competitors. But I start out with focus on what's above average conversion rate. And then I look at my other levers as far as how do I increase engagement? How do I increase conversion rate at the product listing level?
That's great information. And now I'm going to, back up Miss Morales for a second. Can we get a commitment that you are ever going to do my podcast?
Yes, I actually emailed you back. I said, let's do it in November. Let's break it down. We'll be right in the midst of everything.
Perfect. So you heard it. You heard it. Okay, perfect. Now let's get your take on this. You've already talked about images, which is a great idea, showing those holiday images. What could you do to help better protect your profits?
Yeah, so I love the question. So in addition to the images, it's really having this strategy of, as I was mentioning earlier, not leaving money on the table, of how you're going to work with influencers. Oftentimes so much, I've been in this space, as I mentioned, for quite some time now. And one thing that I notice when I'm working with newer brands is they're like, oh, I don't have a really big budget, or I don't really know how to find out what I should focus on. It's like, okay, just start really easy. Get yourself, a production little sheet. I can give you 3 ideas. That normal template is going to work in general, which we'll get into in Texas, in terms of setting yourself up with Reels or Instagrams, live stories or TikTok. And no, you don't have to dance. If you want to dance, you can do that. But there's different ways to really incorporate this power of live streaming and the power of using influencers. And so what I find is oftentimes people get overwhelmed and just don't want to do anything. And they're like, oh, okay, forget it. It's just too much and I just will leave it. You're leaving money on the table because your competitors are definitely working with these micro and nano influencers and above. So I would make sure, find out 3 main ideas. What are 3 different ways that your products can be used, during the holidays, or someone that's a gift giver that they would want to receive, that they would understand that would be great. And just very sloppily, you don't have to get it perfect, right? I always talk about being perfectly imperfect. On paper, write those ideas of what would this look like? So is it a problem? I have a little one or a newborn and I have a stuffed animal. Okay, what could that look like? Is there a fun sketch that I can do? Go into Google, go into Instagram, go into TikTok, look up some of the other reels that people are doing and get some ideas. Just like in music, just like in film, which is what my background comes in, you'll see people, they're not copying because you don't want to do straight up, but they are very inspired by what other people are doing. Use the trending sounds and what have you, and then take your idea and figure out how you can create that. Now, Again, don't overwhelm yourself. So you could say, all right, for this next month, I want to do 3 reels or 3 TikToks. Cool. Get just that general outline of what that idea is. Then ask yourself, currently from the people that are following you, is there anyone that has that 1,000 to 5,000 area that would be interested in getting my product and possibly doing this video idea collaboration together? Or is there someone in that 5,000 to 10,000 that I already know that's in my warm market? If not, let me actually make a list of some key people that I feel would be ideal that I could reach out to. And then in Texas, we'll kind of get into how you can reach out to them and set yourself up. But just starting with that very simple outline of what would be some of these video ideas. This way you're reverse engineering it and you're setting yourself up to success. It's so much better than getting overwhelmed or doing nothing at all, because trust me when I tell you, your competitors are very much on it.
Great. Now, before I get to the next question, I just wanted to reintroduce the giveaway today, which is it's a really incredible giveaway. If you can get to Austin, Texas, we are giving away a ticket to the event plus the networking lunch. Correct, Amy? Perfect.
Yes,
so I got it right. I didn't mess it up. So that's Wheel of Kelsey. So if you can get to Austin, usually, it's a different type of giveaway, but you have to be in Austin. There's no recording. There's no virtual sign-ins. So please make sure you can get to Austin for hashtag Wheel of Kelsey for this special podcast that we're doing.
You know what I like about non-recording events?
I don't have to comb my hair.
Non-recorded events tend to have all the gems that are taught also, like all the hidden stuff you don't normally talk about live.
Yeah.
Non-recorded event.
Recorded.
Yeah. With
Just saying.
Yeah. And I don't have to dress up. So that's good too. So anyways, next question is going out to a duo. Amy, Chelsea, same thing. What can you do to your listing right now? Drop a few nuggets on what you're doing to your listings right now to save money, to become more profitable.
to your listing specifically?
It could be something outside of the listing that's going to help your brand or your listing become more profitable.
So, okay, one thing that I've cornered Norm to talk about at the seller meetup is content marketing. So we are selling on other channels and we're using content marketing, like getting our brand featured in different industry magazines, in online popular magazines, stuff like that. And that is driving a lot of sales. And those things live for a long time on the internet after that. So it's crazy because even though the content marketing that we're using is pushing a coupon for our products, people still go to Amazon to buy full price. They trust Amazon. They see Amazon. And the other thing is we're selling on Walmart and Amazon. I think the thing is, no matter where your listings are, no matter whether you're selling on, like we just got our first order on Farrar yesterday, our first wholesale order on Farrar. We also sell in some other retail channels, but there's so many different places that you can sell, and you have to look at the amount of effort. But also when it comes to your listings on these channels or the way that your product is presented in content marketing, I'm sure Norm can speak to that. You really have to focus on the channel. So just like I was saying at the beginning, when your customer is going through this customer journey and they happen across your product being featured either in a blog article or on Amazon, you have to think about where's the customer in the funnel and what do you want them to experience. This morning, I was doing some PPC coaching with a client, and we were looking at a specific keyword, and the keyword was loosely related to their product. And their main image is kind of targeting their main keyword, right? So, this person is really wanting this product to be targeted towards this other audience in the giftable market, right? But none of their photos are really targeted towards that, right? So we really need to think about, and just like Brian was saying earlier, we really need to think about not just our listing and the words that we're saying in our listing and the blogs that we're putting out there, the content that we're creating, we also need to think about how is the customer viewing that product on that platform. Same thing on Walmart. You might feel like your Walmart sales suck, right? Yes, they suck compared to my Amazon sales, okay? But since I started working on Walmart, I've seen my sales grow immensely. So you have to work on each platform. You have to really think about, where is my product? Who is looking at it? How are they viewing it? And is it being presented in the right way? Make those small tweaks. I mean, there's no excuse. Like Liza was saying, there's no excuse not to. If you don't want to work with an influencer, get your butt on YouTube, start researching some YouTube SEO, and make me 5 videos about different aspects of your product. You know, do that, because before you know it, you're going to have a footprint out there, right? You have no excuse not to start creating content, increasing the way that your product is viewed across the internet. This is e-commerce, guys. We can do it. And then when we think about holiday sales, think of everything that you can do to get in front of that customer and convert, so that you're not spending all your money on PPC clicks that don't convert.
Grow a
And to
beard
add
and
what-
wear a red hat.
Where
Alive.
Yes.
Well, and to add to what Amy's saying, of course, is that, you know, if you're creating any kind of content, even if it's bad, even if it's got bad lighting, even if it's, I mean, lighting is important, of course, but, you know, just getting something out there is probably better than what most of your competition is doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go one step further, if you post it up onto YouTube and nobody sees it, fine. Copy the same video over to LinkedIn, to Pinterest, to TikTok, to, you know, wherever, Instagram. Whatever is up and live and running this week, of course, that is eventually it's going to get in front of the right people, and it's going to make a difference. It really is.
Chelsea?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to ask, because there's a lot of insight into PPC, a lot of insight that we've talked about in actual listings. But one of the things that I found in 2 years of working with sellers directly, specifically on inventory, is not syncing up your inventory and your marketing. So you could be going full bore on your marketing and paying all this money in ad spend, and then run out of inventory. And
Great
so
point.
one of the costs, like we know that there's a stock out cost, you lose your revenue, you have to relaunch, all of those things. But the unquantifiable is how much money you spent in coupons, in ad costs, in marketing agencies to stock you out. So when you quantify all of that, it gets extremely expensive. So making sure that if you're doing a lightning deal, if you're starting some sort of PPC campaign, if you're working with an influencer, that you actually have a plan for how is that going to show up in your inventory, and how are you going to replenish that inventory so that that doesn't lead you into a stock out cycle.
That is a super, that's great. All right. Now this is just going to be thrown at you, but Kelsey, I can't read most of the comments. So do we have questions or comments? How many do we have? And can I ask a couple more questions?
We have a couple of questions that are in, but I would say you can continue with your questions just for a little bit longer.
Thank you, sir. Now, the opposite way. There we go. Okay, back to the screen. Yeah, I love doing that. Okay, so this is just open. Whoever wants it, let's talk about mistakes. What are people doing right now that are mistakes?
Speaking on a panel instead of working their own business. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Oh, come on, Brian, that hurts. Take the knife out of my back.
I've got to get my inventory ready to go here too, actually. So I got to call my 3PL. I think probably the biggest thing is, like I kind of saw, this is kind of also addressing a question that I saw come in, is where people kind of frame the problem incorrectly, and that the question had to do with, well, what do we do if we're competing against one of the clients for any one of us, right? And I'm not saying that's not tough, but it's the same kind of answer that you would do if you're going against an 800-pound gorilla, if you're going against, a national brand or something like that, is you've got to figure out how you differentiate your product to your target audience. Because I know that's something that we work hard on, but that's not to say that everybody else in that same niche is going to, which means there's going to be a couple of brands you're going to have difficulty going directly against. Don't go head to head with them. find an alternate path where, less resistance, I should say, where you've got where you can point out some kind of unique selling proposition, some unique feature, unique benefit to your target audience, even if you sell the exact same product, in order to stand out from the competition. That's probably one of the biggest things I would say is the biggest mistake is not, we tend to just throw money at a problem or ask services to take care of things for us. And we don't take enough time right now in order to see, how do I speak directly to my target audience? How do I make my product stand out? How do I differentiate my product in the main image, in the title, and then subsequently in things like the bullets and the images and the videos and the A+ content? Ultimately, if you don't attract the shopper's attention in the first place, you've already lost. So don't worry about all this other crap and expenses and that kind of stuff and services that you could do. Focus more on what is your message to your target audience and how do you stand away from your competition?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that that I see all year long is people they're getting stuck in their business, and they're not looking at what their customer is doing and how their customer is finding them. People use their tools and they don't just pull up their product on Amazon and see what it looks like on the page with their customer in mind. They're not taking advantage of all of the channels, all of the places that we can get our products talked about. You want to compete with, I saw somebody left a comment about, how do we compete with the high volume sellers that are coming through, that don't play by the rules. The answer is you don't worry about them. You don't worry about what they're doing. You worry about where you're getting your traffic from and how you're appearing to your customer. And, then you are able to emulate that crappy listing that's getting tons of sales and you can't figure it out. It's because that crappy listing has made a name for their brand and they're not dependent on Amazon only for their sales. Amazon is just a sales channel to them. And so what I would encourage you to do is take advantage. Look at your web footprint. Google yourself. Google your product. See what's coming up. See what people are saying about it. See how the customer views you. And then go look at yourself and how you are represented online. Not only on Amazon, but on Facebook, on Instagram, on the major social media channels that your customer hangs out at. Figure out how you can increase your web footprint. Just not taking advantage of things like YouTube videos. YouTube has so much of the search engine and people are just not utilizing that. There's so many free avenues to get the word out. And then I just think, again, just not focusing on the customer, really thinking, well, how can I make more sales? How can I, like Brian was saying, how can I sell as much as this competitor over here? But don't focus on them. Focus on what you can do to convert more customers. Get into your business reports. Look and see what's your unit session percentage? How many sessions are you getting? How many did you get last month? What's your conversion rate? Really, make those little tweaks and look at what matters and turn the dials of your business where you can make those improvements. And all year long, excuse me, I can't talk. I see people making these mistakes, and these are little things that you can do to get focused and improve the rest of the year and continue to improve.
And I would add on, Amy, to what you're saying too, that it's super important that if you're, getting your stuff out there and getting your content there or getting your product, don't be scared to fail. And what I mean by that is that I find a lot of people under order their inventory. And that goes over to, I'm going to throw it over to Chelsea in a bit in using her software, where I fully believe failure, if you will, is better than regret. Even if you have leftover inventory, you have next year to sell. But oftentimes the bigger problem is people underbuy and then they've run out and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? And by the time they get it, by the time you have everything unpacked and get to Amazon, it's too late. So now you are stuck with it until next season. So it's like really prepared to make sure that your inventory buys are actually going to make sense. And then two, when it comes to like Google, I think that's such a great tool. I would take it one step further. What I usually tell my clients is set up a Google alert for yourself, for your brand, and then your top competitors. It's free, easy to do. You can have your own separate email if you don't want it, use your own on Gmail. And essentially what will happen is anytime you're mentioned in the media, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a post, whether, other people are tagging you, it'll come up. Knowing sometimes that your articles or your product is being featured in like Indiana, if you live in California, is great, but equally knowing if it's in Mexico. I've seen some of the things that I've been working on be picked up internationally in Dubai or some of these other places where I was like, oh, wow, okay, they picked up the article. This is really cool. And the Google alert is what actually helps you. You then can take that content and then leverage it into your social media. Be like, listen, people in Indiana are loving this hot selling toy. Here's what they have to say about it. Check out the article. Here's where you can get yours. So it's like really taking some of the things that are happening there and then constructing them, repackaging them, if you will, to showcase your product and what it is you're doing.
Perfect. I'm going to come back to Chelsea in a second. One of the things that I see people don't do enough of is just checking out their own competition and not only doing the competitive research, but actually buying their products and checking out what that customer experience is like, and even buying your own. So I've told the story about on a podcast, a product came in from Amazon and it was a beard brush. Now, first of all, the burlap bag smelled like a barn. I opened up the beard brush on the podcast and it was filled with paint particles. So obviously, oh, and by the way, I was going to say, Amy, I think it was with you, but I put this beard balm on and I couldn't smell it. My wife came in and right after the podcast, she goes, get away. Like I gave her a hug, right? And it was rancid, but I was used to the smell of it. I couldn't smell it after 2 seconds. But anyways, if you don't buy your own product, you don't understand what the customer experience is, which is my point. Make sure you do that, which leads me to a question over to Chelsea. Customer experience. What can you do to enhance the customer experience?
Yeah. So first I want to comment on what you said because it's brilliant. And it does take people too long to do this if they even do this. We had a product that we did it with, and we noticed that we had a completely different construction in many different ways than the product that everyone else was selling. And we actually took a photo shoot, not showing the brands, of course, but took photo shoots and side-by-side comparisons to be able to illustrate to people the difference between how our product was used, how our product was constructed, why it was sturdier, and it created a whole new set of content for us to put on the listing that completely differentiated it from the rest of the competitors who were selling some, cheap knockoff versions of this product. So I 100% agree. And going a step further would be, how can you use what you learn to showcase the differences either in your bullet points, most likely in your bullet points and your images if possible. So that would be something, in October to do to kind of have locked and loaded and ready to move into the sales season.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on that? Customer experience.
Oh, customer experience. Do you want me to answer that question as well?
Yeah, and then what we'll do is we'll get into the listeners' questions.
Yeah. In terms of customer experience, I mean, we've always had success since way back in doing things like ebooks, having instructional videos, and putting a name and a face behind a brand has always been helpful. A lot of times it's getting better, but a lot of times people consider their relationship to Amazon is very transactional, and they don't always understand this concept of that there are third-party sellers. And so when you start putting a name and a face behind that brand, you can do it in the bullet points, you can do it in the inserts on your website if they interact with you on your website. But finding a way to tell your brand story helps to make them realize that they're not just dealing with a transactional Amazon seller or someone who doesn't have feelings. And when people start to attach your brand to some people who actually have feelings, actually care about customers, actually are, have a mission statement, have, a brand vision, they become more loyal. They're more likely to buy from you. They're more likely to reach out to you if they have a problem rather than just complaining to Amazon or writing a negative review. They're more likely to give you the opportunity to solve any issues that they have and then turn around and write you a positive review rather than to just write a negative review and be done with you.
All right, great. So Kels, let's get to some of the questions.
Okay, first question is from Tony. He says, hi, Amy, which channels do you think we should go for first? Shopify, Walmart, or something else?
Well, Tony, that's a really great question. I think what you should be focused on is where your customer is most likely to hang out, right? Not every product is a great product for Shopify. If you're selling a saturated commodity product, you're not going to have a lot of luck driving traffic to Shopify and getting people to buy from your website when they can easily get that product in retail, right? So it comes back to, what I've been saying the whole time, and that's know your customer. Know where your customer is searching for products, where they're buying products. You can study competitor brands and see where they're selling, where they're getting some of their traffic from. And that will help you kind of decide what channels to look into next. I know for us, we sell in brick and mortar retailers. We also sell in several online channels, such as Walmart.com, Wayfair.com. We just had a meeting with Wish yesterday. And then we also sell in wholesale channels, as well as content marketing channels. So I really think you just need to think about your customer and how it's going to benefit your brand, because obviously every new channel that you enter is going to require work on your part, right? And you want that work to be worth it. And, you want it to be an investment into the expansion of your brand. So we're going to talk a lot about this at Seller Meetup. We really want to think about not just how we can sell better on Amazon, but other ways to look at our brand from that customer focused standpoint and apply that across the board to our advertising, to our organic marketing, to our listings, to the sales channels that we sell on, and to managing our logistics and inventory across the board.
Okay, next question.
Okay, next one is more of a comment, but I thought it was pretty interesting from Nier. He says, allow me to share my point of view as someone who's dealing with problems. Do not think about that Q4 is the right time to manipulate Amazon TOS. As everyone else is doing it, Q4 is not the right time to test Amazon sensitivity.
It's funny actually, because I was just having a conversation this past week with Nier, regarding exactly that, an Amazon terms of service violation that we didn't create, but we are certainly the victim of. And so that is something that we're trying to work through, and anybody knows that can be an epic battle against Amazon trying to fix stuff. Unfortunately, any platform that has money on it is going to create people who use, black hat or just get desperate or whatever the case is. And sometimes they like to attack right before big events like Black Friday to Cyber Tuesday. And that's just kind of be the nature of, you've got to be, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to continue year after year, you've got to have a certain amount of patience and flexibility and just tenacity to solve problems, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking about things like making sure you're not reliant entirely on FBA, that you have your own stock that you can ship out if you need to, that you are looking at other channels as a backup, because things happen. You can't own a brand on Amazon and have it go perfect all the time. It just doesn't. I've never heard of it. What? So you've got to have some flexibility. You've got to have some backup plans in order to grow as a business owner and succeed.
Yeah. To that point, if you do have problems with these violations, you can still send, if your inventory is stranded because your listing has been suspended, you can still sell it through other channels. Amazon will ship that stuff out. So that's an important thing to know. Even if you've got this inventory, you don't have to pull it. You can fulfill it. So if you've got another channel to fulfill it that connects up with Amazon, Amazon will fulfill that stranded inventory.
Okay, I got a comment on that. But first of all, Brian, my Amazon listings are always 100%. I never have a problem. They never send me those nasty emails. Not. But okay, Chelsea. Yeah, that's a good point. But if you're selling on Walmart, this is just a note.
Yeah.
Do not use FBA or don't have Amazon. Don't ship from Amazon, because if a box arrives with a Walmart order with a big smile on it, you could get suspended very easily from the Walmart platform. But other platforms, absolutely, you can do that.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next.
All right, this one is from Rad. Is anyone facing the extra charges by the manufacturers for priority productions before supplying to other sellers?
Yeah, I mean, that's supply and demand. You know,
emails,
getting staffing at a warehouse or a production facility is naturally going to cost more in order to retain, you know, there's so many companies now that are trying to battle just to have staff on hand, and that increases friction, that increases costs. And so unfortunately, that is just the nature of supply and demand right now. And if you're in a position to negotiate with that supplier or pony up, you know.
One way that I control this is through having the right contracts with my suppliers from the beginning, making sure that when you start that relationship with your supplier, that you're starting it off on the right foot, and that you're having the proper things put in writing. In China, I do a general conditions agreement that I have my attorney in China draw up, and that helps me identify those deadlines and priorities that supplier needs to follow. If they don't meet those deadlines, there is a financial penalty. So it doesn't put me in a position where I have to pay extra. It puts me in a position where the supplier knows that it's give and take, and that we're partners in this, and that we both agree to our general conditions, and that we're both going to be held to those deadlines. And so if you change up your relationship with your suppliers, a lot of people are reactive with their relationship with their suppliers. They're just moving from one supplier to the next. They're kind of treating it like a shopping mall. It's not a shopping mall. It's not, you know, how much is this? And go ahead and supply me. And then, oh, the price goes up. Well, of course, because the people that took the time to develop that relationship with that supplier are going to benefit. Those people are going to go to the front of the line. It's just like you having close friends, right? Those close friends are going to get your time and your effort more than somebody who just comes up to you and wants something from you, right? So it's just relationships, supplier relationships are more important than anything.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. That's one reason why I bring in a sourcing agent. Because everybody knows that I'm partners with Afalabi. But before I did that, I was going to sourcing agents because they would be doing what Amy's talking about. Not everybody's Amy, you know. So a lot of new suppliers or new sellers have that knowledge. Now, if you're listening to a lot of these podcasts, you'll understand that, you know, what she was talking about is something that you should be doing. But a lot of the times, this is where a sourcing agent will back you up and make sure that happens. We received, Afalabi contacted me on Monday and said we got 3 emails. One was about a person having to pay an additional 30% on top of the 30% that they've already put in. The other one, Brian, was the priority that, you know, if you want, you have to pay more. And the other one was outright 100% rejected the person's the cost, the labor cost was going up, and that we would have to pay, or they would have to pay another 30%. Those are 3 emails that came in at the very, very beginning of the week. So it is crazy out there what's going on, and a lot of it too is being blamed on the rolling blackouts. So which is a whole other topic.
You know, it's funny. I was talking with a friend of mine who's very successful on Amazon and has been for many years, and I brought up the rolling blackouts news, and he says, "Well, that's always been the problem. The rolling blackouts is created by the military, and they basically come in and they muscle the factories to say it's like, hey, you know, it's like if you want power, you got to pay." It's like, sounds like
Yeah.
standard mafia practice, in my book. They're stepping it up apparently. So
I do have a quick question for Amy. Do you have any, you talked about a couple of clauses that you put into your contract to protect yourself. So you went through one. Are there any other clauses that you put in?
Depends on the product and whether or not that product is protectable, right? Like if it's patented and all of that, I do take those kind of considerations. If there's anything in that product that is, that, for example, the potential to have a high defect rate, those are kinds of things that you should put into your contract so that, if you have like a wood product, right? And it gets here and it passes inspection and everything is good, but it has a history of having kind of problems after the fact. Those are things that you would want to add. My tips would also be to, work with your inspection company to learn about those potential problem areas for your products and work that into your contracts. And then also work with your attorney. You should use an attorney in whatever country you're sourcing from. That's really, really helpful because then that supplier is being addressed by somebody that knows the law in that country, and it can help them understand versus you just writing up a document in English and asking the supplier to sign it. It doesn't even follow their law. So sometimes they'll be happy to sign it, and other times they'll just be like, no, I'm not going to sign that, right? So that's what I do. I just check with my inspection company and kind of look at previous defects that I've had for that product. And then also, you could put your payment terms in there, how long those payment terms were good for, delivery deadlines, like production deadlines, quality assurance types of things like, hey, you will follow these quality assurance practices. If the inspection fails, you agree to pay for the second inspection, those kinds of things.
That's why.
One of the things.
Go ahead, Brian.
I may have learned from you, Amy. I'm not sure if it was you that was telling me this or not, but I had just recently started. So I'm kind of curious how, whether or not it actually works or not, but started adding in a clause talking about that the images of the product will not be posted up to Alibaba or AliExpress. We'll see how far that I can enforce it.
I always include that in all of my documents that this product is not to be sold to anyone else and it's not to be shown to anyone else during factory tours, that kind of stuff, because I definitely want to make sure that people aren't seeing that and getting ideas.
Right, and that's what I love when I'm talking with you, Amy, and on your calls as well, is that there's a lot of things you learn during courses. And, there's some really great courses out there. Freedom Ticket, it's a great course. But there's all these little details that as an Amazon seller, this is where you're paying your Amazon tax. These clauses, these contracts, inspections, and how to set up a proper inspection, what to look for. These are things that, this is why these type of calls or podcasts are so valuable, because you learn those types of tips. Okay, let's take one last question. I know I've got a Legion Live with Tim in about 10 minutes, so check us out over on Legion Live.
All right, we'll do a nice big one for Lisa. From Carlos, started using influencers to liquidate a product line or product in Q4 is a good strategy, or is it a waste of time? I'm selling a product that is almost not profitable anymore, but it'll be very profitable in Q4 because all competitors and I increased the price a lot. That's why I'm thinking using influencers to sell it all before Q1. What do you recommend for me?
So first, love the question, Carlos. I really appreciate it. Secondly, though, Kelsey, it's Liza with 2 Z's, please. So off with your head. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so I think this is such a great question. It's not necessarily a waste of time. It's just, how are you structuring it? I know that there was another question that actually asked, how do we find micro influencers or influencers to work with? So that's also something we'll be talking about in in Austin. But just to kind of give you an idea in terms of putting together your strategy, Carlos, post and for the other person that asked it. If you have a product that you know will be profitable, at the end of the day, if it's not going to be profitable, no one's going to like it. Doesn't matter who you really hire. People aren't really going to want to use it because your product still needs to be great. But if you are going to make profit and you do know that by having, a strategy working with some influencers, then by all means do it. But it's who you're choosing to align with. I say this all the time. I don't have 8.5 million followers, let's say, that Kim Kardashian does. But I do know that the followers that I do have a really high rate of buying things that I recommend them. So much so that I work with brands, and we're talking big brands as well as small brands. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I paid X influencer with 2.5 million followers all this money, and I barely move one product. And I paid you this rate, and the product's flying off the shelves. And I'm like, right, just because someone gets a lot of likes doesn't make them the right influencer, especially if they're not in alignment with your product. If you're selling a, pet product and you're going after a girl that's showing, looking hot in a bikini all day long, that's great. And you're like, oh, well, she has a lot of likes. Right. But does she have any products that are actually related to what you're doing? If not, there's not an alignment. So you need to be very careful about what influencers you're working with. So the first thing I always tell people is look at the hashtags. Do you have a branded hashtag already for your brand? If you do, then go ahead and look through it and see who's already using it, who's already commenting. You might actually be surprised. I went through this with the client and they're like, no one knows my product. I don't think they're using it. I'm like, really? Because I looked at it and there's 3 different influencers, one of which I know really well that uses it organically. Haven't seen you interact with them. And they're like, wait, what? So you need to look at what's the riches already that you already have. So do you have a hashtag that someone's already using? If not, think of starting one now, like this week, right? Just to kind of gear up as you're going to Q4. Number 2, what you can do is look up hashtags that we already know that people are using. So one is hashtag founded on Instagram, founded on Amazon, hashtag Amazon does it again. And then from there, see if there's people within your niche that are already using the hashtag that you can start engaging with them and start connecting with them. And then the third one that I would leave you with is looking to see in terms of trends. You can use Google Trends right now, right? Looking to see within the market, like who's the top influencer in food in my area, let's say in Austin. Going there and then starting to comment with them, going into Facebook groups. Like Amy has an amazing group, listening obviously to this podcast with Norm, engaging with the people. And I always tell people when you want to work with influencers, the first thing shouldn't be like, hey, I want you to sell my product. But you wouldn't go up to someone at a party and say, hey, not even introduce yourself, sell my product, this is what I need from you. Or, hey, you're a dentist, look at my teeth. Like, that's just weird. So still be human, still be like, hey, I want to interact with you. What are some of the other products that you're doing? Are you working on anything for Q4? Start a real conversation because then they'll let you know. Like, I can tell you, I'm a little bit close. We still have a couple of openings of what I'm looking at already for my Q4 lookbook because I know it's going to sell. And there's a couple of different key points that I have to hit. So I usually look for, because as we said earlier, a lot of times what we find is people aren't ordering enough product. So I then look for a couple other people to fill in when my audience comes back and says, all right, that wish list that you already talked about is sold out. What are some other things that you can do? So when you're talking to an influencer, you want to say like, do you have a lookbook that you're looking at for Q4? Do you have more than one entry point? Let me know. What would that look like? Or just very basically, if I were to send you some products, would you be willing to do an unboxing and use that hashtag to build it? So there's just a couple of ways, but with your product, as long as you have a strategy set into play, that's what I, get paid to do, then it can be successful. You can sell sand to the Sandman. You just have to know how to do it properly.
Perfect. Okay. On that note, is it that time, Kels?
All right. Yes, it is that time. And Liza, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name. I'll get it right.
You get your head back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go over to the wheel. So if you haven't seen this, you're in for a treat.
Here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Thank you, everyone, for entering the contest. This is the Wheel of Kelsey. If you are the winner, please email me at k@lunchwithnorm.com, and I'll connect you with the code and what you need to get started for the event. So I'm going to go spin this. 3, 2, 1.
Sing it, Kels.
Wheel of Kelsey. Winner
Okay.
is named.
We got to work on that one.
Yeah. Who won?
AMZ Elites. All right.
Very good.
Congrats.
Congratulations, AMZ
Yay!
Elite. Okay, so just to get the information, you just have to contact Kelsey at k@lunchwithnorm.com. Right, Kels?
That is right. And if for whatever reason you're not able to do it, to make it, you can always gift the ticket to someone else as well. So just let me know if there's ever an issue and we can get that sorted.
Right.
All right.
Perfect. Okay. Brian, Lisa, Liza, Chelsea, and Amy. Oh, and Tim, but he's not here. I never noticed. Okay. So guys, I am looking forward to this. So it's not that far away. It's October the 15th, Austin. How many speakers are going to be there? There's quite a few.
102.
102.
Actually,
Well, we have a lot of speakers and a lot of hosts. So we even have a secret VIP host, and we're having a smart marketer competition. So check out sellermeetup.com to see that. But we have lots of speakers on our seasonal listing optimization panel. We've got John Tilley, myself, and Mike McClary. Then we've got the PPC strategy panel with Chris and Dustin from Solozo, and of course, Brian here. Then we've got a panel on increasing your sales channels, and we're going to talk about all the different sales channels you can sell on, not just during Q4, but into next year. And that's with Tim Jordan, Talal Assad, and Colin Foster, the Shopify king there. And then we've got external traffic and marketing, where we're going to talk about all the different ways you can run traffic, not only to Amazon, but to these different channels and the different external traffic marketing channels you should be thinking about. And we've got the amazing bearded man, Norm Farrar, talking about that. We've got John Serafano, as well as the chatbot queen, Michelle Barnum-Smith. And then we've got an influencer marketing panel. And we are going to be talking about how do you work with influencers, not just during Q4, but always, but especially during Q4. How do you get them to pay attention to you? What kind of influencers should you be using? And we have 3 amazing influencers on that panel, including the famous, amazing Liza Morales here, as well as Gracie Ryback and Mayan Gordon. And then finally, we have an inventory and logistics panel. Of course, we've got to manage our inventory. That's like the biggest thing this Q4 and beyond. And we've got Chelsea Cohen headed up that panel, as well as Sebastiano Scosi from Amazing Logistics. And we're going to be running from morning to night. We have an amazing networking luncheon. We have a mixer happening Thursday that is sponsored by Sellers Funding. And then we have a VIP dinner sponsored by Elevate Brands happening after the day-long conference. And then Saturday, we're all going to hang out and find something fun to do, not as part of the conference, but just because we all like to hang out together. So we can't wait to connect with you guys and network. The whole thing is designed for networking and learning together.
Very good. That is going to be a super packed day. There's a ton going on. So looking forward to being out in Austin again. Hey, ladies, gentlemen, it was awesome. We've really never done a panel except for our 100th and 200th episode, but it was really great being able to talk with you. So looking forward to October 15th. It's going to be awesome. Brian, you're going to be coming back very shortly because we missed yesterday's podcast, but we'll get you back on soon. Liza, you've committed, so I can't wait. All right. We will see everybody later. Have a great day. We will talk to you soon, panelists. And I've got a couple other things to say here. So I hope everybody.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. Okay. I hope everybody enjoyed that. There's a bunch of nuggets that happened. We might do this more often where we get a panel of people coming on and talking about different topics. Tomorrow, we have Yanni Mazur coming on, and we're going to be talking about struggles of sellers and scaling business techniques. But I also want to make sure that I give a big shout out to our sponsor, Global Wired Advisors, a leading digital investment bank focused on optimizing the business sales process. For more information, please call Chris and his team over at globalwiredadvisors.com. They are awesome. Kelsey.
All right. Yes. Thank you, everyone. And for those speakers that are in our little dashboard right now, if you have to get going anywhere, you can. Please feel free. You can leave now, and we'll. We just want to say a quick thank you to you guys for doing the podcast today. But yes. Anyways, today's episode was awesome. Please, if you haven't yet, please give us those thumbs up, hit those like buttons, and we really appreciate all of the engagement in the community. In our group, of course, you can join our Facebook group at Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and E-commerce Collective. That is the main spot where you can go. Our podcast is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m.
Oh, you took my line.
Yeah, and I'm going to probably steal some more. But yes, that's probably it. If you're interested in some membership, our membership area, that's where you can get Q&A sessions with me and Norm, our guest lessons. We have Amy Weiss coming on Thursday, which is pretty exciting. So she'll be teaching a small group lesson to our group. And there's a bunch of other stuff that you can get, such as like Lunch with Norm mugs and M&Ms. And yeah, it's really great. So go to our lunchwithnorm.com website and just click on the membership area. But without
further ado, you're going to allow me to talk about my 2 lines that I have.
That's right.
Well, I'm going to squeeze in an extra line because we want to make sure that people head over. If you are interested and you did not get the free ticket, you can still get 10% off. No affiliates. I don't get any affiliate fees. It's just a 10% off if you're interested, if you're going to be in Austin, and you go to sellermeetup.com. Simple, sellermeetup.com. And I'm taking back my line. You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for stealing it, Kelsey, at noon Eastern Standard Time. And once again, thank you for being part of the community. We really enjoy, and well, not only enjoy, but we could never do this without you. So enjoy the rest of your day as well.
Lunch with Norm.